Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Okay, give it up. Who's got the shaky egg? Aha, nice. I don't know, friends, if you can hear at home as well, but we have some musical accompaniment here in the sanctuary, and we're delighted to see you and delighted to have you joining us at home as well. We hope that you'll join us in prayer on page 121 as we get started. We will invite Tal and Matan Rappaport to join us on the bima as we kindle the Shabbat lights.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
And together, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat. Amen. Page 123, as we invite Ziv to join us and we turn to Kiddush, the sanctification of the day. We'll ask you please in body or in spirit to rise. Ready?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. Please be seated. Ziv, we say that we hope it will be sweet on your lips the way tonight and tomorrow will remain a sweetness for you. We continue page 124. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let all of these drop away at the door. And in the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Join us, please, as we turn to page 136, and we continue with Psalm 29, Mizmor LeDavid. We are especially thankful. We give praise for this intersection that we have while we are at Chol HaMoed, Sukkot, and Shabbat, and we are meant to rejoice. We are meant to spend some extra energy being especially happy, not nervous, especially excited, not nervous, and especially thankful, not nervous, right? Nothing on this side of the room to be nervous about, and nothing we hope to be nervous about at home. So take a moment, please, and we do this each week. Turn to those in the room, those at home on Zoom, and leaving your masks on, please turn and smile with your eyes and wish somebody a Shabbat Shalom who you've not yet met. And then we'll continue on page 138 with the singing of Lecha Dodi. It's our custom to sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. At verse 9, we'll invite you, please, to stand and to turn to a door of entry, either here in the sanctuary at the last verse, verse 9. We'll stand and greet the Sabbath bride. Lecha Dodi, page 138. Please be seated. Page 145 as we continue. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה ועמד יברכירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון ובחייך בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב אמן יש מרבה מבורך עולם עולם מעלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושו בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו Amen.
Page 146 as we rise for our call to worship the Baruch Hu. We'll continue praying together as we say the words, speak the words, pray the words of Ma'ariv Aravim on page 148. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher b'divaro Ma'ariv Aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'vituna mishane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et ha'kochavim b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, Golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
And please be seated as we continue with the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכוחך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם ג'ים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Let's continue together at the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Continue with Vishamro.
As we sing in Vashamru, we know that the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing it as a covenant, of which Ziv will speak more tomorrow, about covenant, about a brit that we have, our people and Israel, our people and God. And we lift that up each Shabbat evening and each Shabbat morning by acknowledging the sacredness of that covenant. Let's continue on page 164 as we turn to the Amidah, and we'll invite you please in body or in spirit to please rise.
Adonai sefer yiftachu fi Tehillah. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imatenu, Hagei, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'elam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol, Atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel Chaim behesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Samech noflim v'rofeh holim, Umatir asorim, Umekayeh emulato, Lishenei yachar, Mi chamocha b'giborot, Umida melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ad le'ayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha sela, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. And please be seated. Page 173 as we continue together. We say, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ratzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel, u'tehi le'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odcha, levadcha be'yirah na'avod.
Modim anachnu lach, Modim anachnu lach, She'atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Eloheinu le'olam va'ed, Tzorchayenu, Tzorchayenu,
And we give thanks as we say, Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulechana elehodot.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, V'sim le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, V'sim le'olam. Ki atah melech Adon, lechol ha'shalom. Ki atah melech Adon, lechol ha'shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, V'sim le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tazim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tazim Le'olam. Tazim Le'olam. Tazim
Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take a few moments now in silence, in meditation, in prayer. There are those we know who, whether for weakness of body or weakness of spirit, are struggling. Those whose names we know and those perhaps whose names we don't know, but who are in need. And we turn to them now, and we turn our prayers to them as we hold them in this embrace, this Shabbat evening, as we say, Mishaberach, Avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and strengthen those who are struggling. This evening we're holding in our thoughts and in our prayers Shana Esther bat Rochel, Chaya Necha bat Riva Leah, Katriel Parachia ben Herschel Lazer v'Shoshana, Sarah bat Avraham v'Sarah, Alan Skirker, Laura Braun, Miriam Butt Ella, Stephen Brent, Rainey Feingold, Irving Manis, Masha Butt Sheva, Susan Silton Tobias, Kim Stanger Delisle, Gabriel Berger, Hank Ferrioli, Nancy Cohn, Lynn Fragan, Tammy Henson, Brian Mansfield, Dean Harris, Abigail Herman, Michael Shartok, Alma Kubi, Julia Kavanaugh, Pat Connor, Rick Siltera, Miriam Nemitz, Steve Grodensky, Gary Lipton, Allison Rotherham Sachelli, Sarah Postalnik, Stanley Niskoda, Darren Kaplan, Michael Seidman, Suzanne Seidman, and Casey Zachman, and Steve Greenfield. If there are others whose names should be added to this list, please, as I look your way, would you share that name aloud? And for those at home, if you would add any names at this time for us to include in our prayers.
Bogamua, Karen Frisch.
May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health wherever possible to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send renewal of body and renewal of spirit. And please let us join together in saying, Amen.
Find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
My daughter Jordan was doing her social studies homework and asked me which enduring issue she should select to research. So we discussed a handful of potential topics, and she left frustrated, saying, "Everybody knows about those already." The conversation took place a few days ago while I was actually sitting in front of my computer, wondering what to discuss for tonight, and the irony wasn't lost on me. But the short conversation led me to think about the meaning of the word enduring, and how our understanding of it depends entirely on the context in which it's used. Synonyms for endure include bear or suffer, abide or tolerate or stand, meaning really to put up with something, usually something that's trying or painful. My daughter's homework question pointed to the teacher's likely request to identify something problematic, something systemically wrong, like racism or gender inequality or poverty or affordable childcare or anti-Semitism. But enduring, we also know, can mean continue or last or abide or persist, as in existing over a period of time or indefinitely. Like, for instance, when used as an adjective to describe the love of a parent for their child. So as we move towards these last days of Sukkot, we will soon celebrate Simchat Torah. And typically, for those who have been here, many have, at Temple Sinai, our celebration, when not worrying about communal health and safety, involves us standing shoulder to shoulder in the back room as the entire Torah scroll is unrolled, and everyone gently holds the top and the bottom of the parchment so that the entire Torah can be seen at one time. I don't know for you, but for me, it is breathtaking every single year. We say the bracha, the blessing, and we read the concluding section of the 5th book of the Torah of Deuteronomy, of Devarim, and then immediately following, the opening section of Breshit, of Genesis, is read, and then we say the blessing following the reading of the Torah. This practice represents both the cyclical nature and the enduring relationship between the Jewish people and the reading of the Torah. It's always a beautiful and a powerful moment. We bless, we end, and begin again, and we bless. Rabbi Mark Katz says, the amazing thing about Jewish tradition is that there's a prayer for everything. There's a prayer for new beginnings, a prayer for seeing lightning, and a different prayer for the rainbow after the storm. There's a prayer for seeing a beautiful person, and a prayer for smelling a flower, even a prayer for using the bathroom. But, he writes, my favorite prayer has always been the prayer for endings, because it completely defies expectations. In our modern culture, we pride ourselves on finishing something. We step back and we admire it. We pat ourselves on the back, we stand tall, and then we move on. But like many things in our tradition, Judaism is countercultural. When we finish a unit of study, we immediately proclaim, Hadran alach, we will return to you. We personify the element of study and we speak it. If we are, for example, studying the laws of the Sabbath and Tractate Shabbat, we read Hadran alach v'hadrach alan, Aramaic for, we will return to you, Tractate Shabbat, and you will return to us. Our mind is on you, Tractate Shabbat, and your mind is on us. We will not forget you, Tractate Shabbat, and you will not forget us. Not in this world and not in the world to come. Through this prayer, we acknowledge that we are never done. There's always more to learn. We can never master anything. If we look at it again with fresh eyes, there will always be something else to gain. We must return to our experiences again and again. The 6th century Greek philosopher Heraclitus famously taught, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he is not the same man. Next week, we'll read from V'zot HaBracha, from the book of Deuteronomy, with the words, V'lo kayam navi od b'Yisrael k'Moshe, and never again did there arise in Israel a prophet like Moses, whom the Eternal knew face to face, for all the signs and the wonders which the Eternal sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his courtiers and to all his land, and for all the great might and awesome power that Moses displayed in the sight of all Israel. And then we will begin immediately again with the words from the very beginning of chapter 1 of Breshit. Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth, unformed and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Rabbi Levi Derby writes that beginnings and endings are bookends of change. In the same way that endings imply a new beginning implies an ending. Our experiences appear cyclical. As daylight turns into darkness of night and back again, as the waves constantly ebb and flow, as an inhale is followed by an exhale, opening to the next breath, so too with our experience. Everything comes to an end, and with every ending comes a new beginning. We may initiate some of life's beginnings and endings, yet many happen in their very own time, beyond our control. We know often new beginnings are joyously celebrated, and endings are mourned. New beginnings are sweet, filled with expectation, with hope and promise of change, and endings may bring sadness or grief or sometimes relief. Some endings are joyous, like the completion of a course of study or a marathon, and some endings like a successful labor and delivery of a child, lead to an altogether different kind of and new kind of beginning. And Rabbi Levi continues by saying, both beginnings and endings are liminal moments, filled with ambiguity, as we transition from one state or experience into another without knowledge of what that next state will bring. These threshold moments invite introspection as we reflect on our past and visualize our desired future. And he writes about a friend of his named Laura who has a screensaver on her computer that flashes the words, "Always begin again." It's pretty deep wisdom for a screensaver. Every moment we have the freedom to choose different behaviors, a different path, a different identity, and each moment could mark the end of the past and the beginning of something brand new, and each moment is fertile with hope. Always begin again. Hope is real and powerful, and we're capable of growth and change. A great spiritual master taught that it is incumbent upon each individual to believe that with the next breath we can become new beings. In the chrysalis of self-reflection, we can be transformed. The possibility of personal renewal is the great mystery of human being, and this is our season for just that wisdom. An ending, a beginning, and then another beginning. Life is in fact like the Torah. It never really ends. We celebrate the endings, and we rejoice in the new beginnings. And so we continue. So let us turn to our concluding, not our ending prayers, but our concluding prayers, the Aleinu on page 586, and we will invite you please to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפט אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כעל חמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We pause now to think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, and those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. During this period of Shloshim, these last 30 days, we are mourning the loss of Ricky Kaplan, family member of Linda Platt, Douglas Herrick, father of Craig Herrick, Bernard Kennis, grandfather of Kim Crystal, Gregory Novozenitz, husband of Brocha Novozenitz, and Saul Aoto, father of Liz Rank and grandfather of Tracy Iman and Jody Merklinger. This Shabbat marks a yahrzeit and anniversary of passing for Bess Abramson, Judy Barrett, Joan Baxter, Irving Berlowitz, Rosetta Delheim, Nayaz Egi, Max Forchheimer, Jenny Francis, William Gerard, Irving Glassner, Sophie Gorfine, Max Gerwitz, Sarah Herdefeld, David Horowitz, Hannah Jarvis, Donald Johnson, Leo Canner, Jacob Lazier, Dorothy Lisson, Ida Markovitz, Annette Newman, Dorothy Pies, Milton Rosen, Samuel Ryback, Samuel Silverman, Anita Stein, Ruth Schifrin Strauss, Michael Wexler, Sidney Yarmel, William Zimmerman, and Myron Zuckerman. If there are names that you would add to either list, those you are remembering and are mourning, we invite you please to share that name aloud with us as I look your way. And at home, we will invite you to share your names. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing as we turn to page 598 and recite Kaddish Yatom together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olnei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudasha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav Huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel. And let us join together in saying, Amen. Amen. Please be seated. Please be seated. We begin with just, we begin and we conclude. We begin and we end with some announcements to share with you. We want to thank, first and foremost, we want to thank our board Greta Carla today, Carla Greenfield, who's at the back. If you have any questions about the congregation, please feel free to speak to Carla. And we want to offer our very best wishes early to the Rappaport family for tomorrow's Simcha, which we know is going to be wonderful, and to all of the guests. We want to remind you that tomorrow morning at 9:15 there is Torah study, both in person and on Zoom at 9:15, and then at 10:30. We have Shabbat services when Ziv will be called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. Sunday morning, we have our first day of religious school online, Zoom, with a meeting information for parents and students on the protocols. Both sets for students and teachers will be online beginning at 9:30. You can find that information on our website. The cantor and I will be co-teaching a class called Moedim L'Simcha on Sukkot and Simchat Torah at 9:30, both in person here at Temple for adults. And on Zoom as well, and the cantillation class at 11, and the Speaking of Race session at 4 p.m. Join us, please, for two wonderful opportunities for Simchat Torah, beginning 5:30 on Monday evening here at Temple, and on Zoom. You can access at home. We have our Simchat Torah service. We won't this year, unfortunately, be able to unroll the Torah, but we will aspire to make it joyous and freilich and wonderful just the same. So that's at 5:30. And at 7 p.m., the Reform movement across the country, actually really across the world, has an incredible, just over a half an hour long program, Zoom only or linked only. You can find it on Facebook or you'll find it on our website, beginning at 7 p.m. You can watch it anytime. It's not live, so you can access it anytime at 7 p.m., starting after 7 p.m. on Monday evening. The office is closed on Tuesday with Simchat Torah services and Yizkor prayers at 10:30 on Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday begins our first day of religious school in person for 3rd to 7th grade. A week from tonight, if you're an animal lover, raise your hand. A week from tonight, be back here for our Shabbat family service. It's my personal favorite, with birthday blessings, in person and Zoom, followed by a mini Ark Farm petting zoo. So come if you want to be here. It's a very family-friendly service and hands-on, quite literally, hands-on, where we will be celebrating Parshat Noach as well. So we'll invite you to that. And then we have Samuel and Jackson Ram being called to the Torah at 10:30. And last, and we want to offer a mazel tov to Elise and Joe Wojciechowski on the marriage of their son Dan, to Sarah Siegel this past Sunday in Geneva, and for all of those who have inquired about where best to make donations for Haiti, for the Afghan refugees, and how to participate in the ADL's Walk Against Hate, the Anti-Defamation League's Walk Against Hate. All of that information can be found on our website. Okay? Any other announcements? Anything else that we should know from where you are seated? Any celebrations? Any good news? Yours is coming. And any other news that we should know about?
Tyler is moving back to Israel.
Okay, then we will continue with our closing song. And Motzi, we'll begin with Motzi, and we'll call up the Rappaport family, whoever is here that would like to be up for Motzi.
Ziv, are you Rappaport family?
And let us give thanks. Let us give thanks for that which nourishes and sustains.
Open the cover and recite the shul bracha. And together, Baruch Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. B'tavon.
And while we are waiting, you can turn ahead to page 625 for our closing song, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra et nasa v'chefza kol azay melech shemo nikra azay melech shemo nikra v'acharei kiflot hakol v'va'ado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hove v'hu yiyeh b'tifara v'hu yiyeh b'tifara v'hu echad v'en sheni להמשיך לי לך בירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא חרוס בך משרה ולא חרוס בך משרה.
We wish you a Shabbat Shalom and good health, and please help us celebrate by grabbing a sweet. We call it our goneg. Grab a sweet on your way out. Lovely and provided by the Rappaport family. And at home, we hope you have a sweet and restful Shabbat as well. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.